in addition to Mr. Rivera's extraordinary qualifications, we also have the incredible good fortune of having somebody coming back to Norwalk. Dr. Rivera lived in Norwalk for years. He had his kids go through the Norwalk Public Schools. His daughter graduated from Norwalk High in 2004, 2 years before my son James, so they probably bumped into each other in the halls. You know, in talking to Dr. Rivera, he related to me his experiences picking up garbage at the oyster festivals with the band parents. I mean, that's the extent to which he's been down to the ground in Norwalk. And I actually told him I was tempted to, you know, play the theme song from Welcome Back, Kotter tonight as he's coming back to Norwalk. In terms of, you know, his fitting the profile, Mr. Rivera fits the profile that was developed by the search committee of the public almost perfectly. When I went through the list, which I updated with information that the hour didn't have, out of 18 criteria that was listed, he met 17. The only one that he didn't was having a detailed knowledge of Connecticut school law. And since we have the best school lawyer in the state working for us, Mr. Mooney, I don't think that's going to be much of a problem. If he wants the best advice he could get, he can just pick up the telephone and talk to Mr. Mooney. The search process, and of course this is the first time I've gone through one of these, the search process I thought worked remarkably well. The search firm ProAct conducted a very extensive public process. You may recall that early on I was of the mind to have that search committee be much more involved in the process, but some board members felt that the board itself should do all of the interviewing, and I acceded to their wishes and agreed to that. But the search committee went out and conducted almost 20 meetings around the city with staff, members of the public, parents. In fact, they even had a couple of sessions with high school students at Brian McMahon and Norwalk High that they reported were some of the most interesting ones that they held. They put together a profile, which this board then reviewed, amended, and adopted, and which, as I said, Mr. Rivera meets just about every criteria that was set forth in that profile, as has been noted by the chairman of the committee that created the profile, Dr. Levinson, is the president of Norwalk Community College. The decision of the board to continue the process after the search committee had completed its work confidentially was, in my judgment, the right decision. And as I've said all along, the proof is in the pudding. That process has produced a nationally recognized superintendent of schools for Norwalk. And ultimately, the success is going to be measured by how well Dr. Rivera does as superintendent, not by the procedures that we followed with ProAct. I will say, however, as many board members have noted, that ProAct certainly did a better job for us than the previous search a few years ago. That we were provided with 11 candidates. We did initial reviews of documents. We then did Skype interviews of an initial set of 7 candidates to narrow it down to 3. We held long interviews with those 3 candidates, all of whom were very well qualified. And there were differences of opinion on the board about the various candidates, but it was clear that the one candidate who could generate the greatest degree of consensus on the board was Dr. Manuel Rivera. As I look at this process and compare it to, you know, searches that I've been involved with over 20 years in corporate America, this to me seems to be one of the best searches I've seen in terms of how it was organized and the quality of the candidates. And I can assure you that the board members at our various interviews actively participated in this process. No one was excluded from anything. Every document that I ever received from ProAct, I shared with every member of this board. There are no exceptions. Every member of the board was entitled to participate fully. Every member of this board asked extensive questions during the interviews, and we basically didn't stop the interviews until everybody who had a question had an opportunity to ask them. So I feel that this is an opportunity for Norwalk really to turn a corner. We're bringing in a person who knows our city, knows our school system, certainly knows education, and I'm just very happy to be welcoming him back to Norwalk.